The October 22nd, 2012 meeting of the Human Services Committee will now come to order. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Mr. Ansello. Here. Ms. Andrews. Here. Mr. Daniele. Here. Chairwoman Draw.
Here.
Ms. Cayley. Here. Mr. Lightfoot is excused. Mr. Michike. Here. Dr. Quattro. Here. Mrs. Valerio. Here.
Is there anyone signed up for public forum?
There are 4 speakers signed up this evening. Please come forward when your name is called to address the committee. You will have 2 minutes and only 2 minutes in which to provide your remarks, and we ask that you conclude when the timer sounds, and we thank you for your cooperation. Our first speaker is Judy Brayman.
Did you hear me? Yes. Okay. I wrote Consumer Reports' first toy buying guide. Also, was an advisor to Consumer Reports on their nursery products. I really am appalled at the deaths in this community from possible unsafe sleeping conditions. And I do know that throughout the country there is a suggestion that every time there is a death from a product, it must be reported to the Consumer Product Safety Commission. And that is under the MECAP program. That stands for, excuse me, Medical Examiners and Coroners Alert Program. That is the way that the government determines that there's a problem with any consumer product. Then they set up standards or do recalls. I understand that in this community there are different organizations that offer information. But right now, the Consumer Product Safety Commission has set up for free a PSA, and they can make it according to the community. And this is free, given to any community, any station that wants it in the whole country. So there are no funds that will come from any community to do this, and I am volunteering my services to help any committee that is set up in this community to get this information out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Patricia Brantingham.
Thank you. I'm Patricia Brantingham, Executive Director of the Perinatal Network of Monroe County, and I'm pleased to have this opportunity to talk to you this evening. You may be wondering, as you look at this recommendation, why it is that the county legislature would be asked to address an issue like infant mortality. Isn't that a subject for doctors, nurses, and people such as that? I'd like to give you 3 reasons why you should take this measure seriously. First, by addressing this issue in public, the county legislature lends the weight of its credibility, making this a public health issue and bringing the attention of the entire community, which only a public health official can do, or a public body can do. Where significant strides have been made in infant mortality reduction, and I think of Harlem, I think of Milwaukee, I think of Oakland, California, those efforts have been led by strong public officials such as yourselves. The knowledge about infant mortality itself is an issue, of course, but what people mostly don't know is the disparity in infant mortality, that African American babies in this community are dying at over twice the rate of white babies. And while those rates have improved recently, they are still higher in this community for African Americans than even for African Americans across the state. The second reason that you need to take this legislation seriously is that healthy babies are born to healthy women, and healthy women are the product of their physical and social environments, as well as their personal biology and, of course, their personal behavior. The county legislature can review its own actions, not just in health, but in all areas, to screen legislation on other topics for the impact on the health development of our young people. We need healthy young people to have healthy women to have healthy babies. And finally, the legislature has the power to ask whether the administrative departments and community agencies such as mine are doing all that needs to be done. Do we all share an understanding of the causes of infant deaths, the trends, the opportunities? Are we using our resources most cost effectively?
Thank you, Patricia.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our next speaker is Sandra Chamberlain.
Hello.
Okay. Oh, this is a good one. My name is Sandra Chamberlain, and I'm a retired social worker and also mother of a sudden infant death of a son in the late 1960s. I happened to start the first research center on sudden infant death, then through Strong Hospital. When I started reading the brochures that 51 infants or more babies die in Monroe County, I want to know the statistics. Number one, how old were these infants? Were they premature babies? Were they encephalitis? Did they have heart problems? You can say that maybe, as an analogy, 100 people died this year in Rochester. I certainly want to know. And at what age do we say a baby's an infant? Is it at 1 month, 12 years, or 2 years? And I think that we need better communication, because there are many reasons why infants die, and I don't want it to be labeled because someone didn't know not to sleep with their child. Those are just some of the criteria that I think that better coordination of different groups working simultaneously together. I actually was offended to say that in the brochure it could be a cause of SIDS, when every year they come out with a new theory of why they think SIDS has happened. The latest is that it could be the 3-month-old shots, because that between the 3 and the 6 months, and we now know from media reports that some of those vaccine shots themselves were not stored properly in refrigeration. Because when you have a child die, you already feel guilty, and then you're told, I don't know why, the coroner didn't want to hear from me anymore, because you want to know. There was no blanket, the baby was put on his back, so to have it labeled in safe sleeping habits is disturbing to me.
Our last speaker is Tom Gregory.
I'll be addressing each one of the committees during this cycle, basically each committee's speciality, but in the context of an industrial development called hydrofracking. One of the things is, everyone is familiar with the phrase, you can give a person a fish or give them a fishing pole and teach them how to fish. And one of the problems that this committee is always looking at is the failings of our society. The people who can't take care of themselves, but mostly due to poverty and financial needs. When we look at an industry that's often offering its zenith to us, whether it be hydrofracking or putting a man on the moon, and we turn away from it, what we're really doing is taking away from persons who possibly aren't college educated, who possibly didn't finish high school, the opportunity of employment and opportunities to provide for themselves, to take that fishing pole and go out and catch their own fish. And I think when we as a legislative body, and this touches the Public Safety Committee, when we as a legislative body, or you as a legislative body, look at ways of precluding the businesses that we really depend upon to take care of our people in a way that we provide for them to take care of themselves. I don't like infant morbidity or infant mortality any more than anybody in here. And I think that what we're talking about and getting more education out there is a very good idea, and I support that idea of what's being brought before you. I believe it's being brought before you anyhow. Bottom line is, though, we can teach all we want, but if we don't provide people an opportunity to take care of themselves rather than offering them continuous care and running out of money doing it and chasing away the industries that we depend upon to our people, to make sure that our people are self-sufficient and also that we can pay for the programs we want to give them, then by golly gosh, I think we're being a bit foolish. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tom. Is there anyone else present who would like to, who did not sign up to speak, who would like to speak at this time? If not, then the next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes. You have before you the August 21st minutes. They stand approved unless the clerk is notified by any changes by the end of the day. Next item on the agenda is new business. Madam Clerk.
Referral 12-284, stopping preventable infant mortalities in Monroe County.
Moved by Legislator Andrews and second by Legislator Cayley. And before we get to some discussion on this referral, I first of all would like to thank Legislator Aldersley for bringing this important issue to this committee's attention. I think we would all agree that this is an alarming, complex issue that needs to be addressed in our community. However, I don't believe that the members of this committee fully understand all the complexities of this issue. So therefore, I do intend to refer this to the administration, and I'd like to request a report back to this committee on how infant mortality is being, which I know is being currently addressed in our county, and new ways, other ways we're looking at safe sleeping habits. But therefore, I do see that the maker of the motion, Stephanie, you're here today, so I will recognize you today if you'd like to give some brief comments on your referral.
Thank you, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
Almost once a week in this county, a baby dies before her first birthday. And this figure it was surprising to me, it's staggering to me. Our economy locally is certainly no worse than many others around the state and this nation, and yet this county seems to be doing, for whatever reason, not quite as good a job at keeping babies alive as other areas in the state, other areas in this nation. We know we have first-class hospitals, wonderful hospital units that take care of at-risk babies, and so it's kind of a mystery to me. Certainly the consensus of the medical community seems to be that beyond the shaken baby syndrome that the hospitals now do a very good job of educating the parents of newborns about, beyond the Back to Sleep campaign that is the mnemonic that reminds us to put babies on their backs to sleep. There's the full Safe Sleep program that people need to be more aware of, not just parents, but grandparents, friends, babysitters, and so on. And we do, and it's commendable that we now do have a program where this county does include a pamphlet with the birth certificate, but the birth certificate often doesn't arrive until a baby is a few weeks old. I'm not going to stand here and tell you I understand this statistic. Why are we doing a less good job than other counties? But I do think that this legislature could do a great job of bringing popular attention to this issue if we, as the second portion of my my referral is to hold hearings about this issue, to allow experts such as spoke with us here today to really get our arms around what is the problem and how can government be involved in helping the community do a better job. I think it would be a fabulous statement if we had bipartisan hearings on this issue. I know that as a Democrat, as a legislator, I have the right to have hearings myself anytime I want on any issue, but I would really think that we could make a wonderful statement. And I was hoping to have hearings before January. I think this is an ideal thing to be talking about as we approach the holiday season. And I would really hope for your support in anything we can do to gather information and to make a difference in our county statistic, which is alarming. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Legislator Aldersley. And I now would like to refer this to the committee. Legislator Andrews? Question? Do you have a question?
I do.
If you have any, regarding this referral?
Yes.
If you have any questions with this referral, you can put your questions in writing to me, and I will refer it with this to the administration for to be continuing this report.
Well, Madam Chair, I have a question actually for you. In referring this to the administration, you indicated that you were going to ask for a report back from them.
I will.
My question is, what is the timeline you're going to give them to provide you that report?
I believe that as soon as they can compile information, and I'll have them. I will have them get back to us as soon as they can. If we can.
I'm going to ask you
look at the information.
If you could put a date certain on that, that would be most helpful, probably both for the administration as well as for members of this committee.
I think
so that we have a timeline.
If you'd like to submit a letter with a request, and then
I don't really want to submit a letter. I just really ask you to put a time for the administration to respond to you, because this is a timely matter and something we should take action on sooner rather than later. And you know as well as I do that requests can linger for months and months and months.
And I will put. I'm sure they will make this a priority. Legislator.
I don't think they're going to unless we ask them to.
Thank you very much for bringing this matter to the fore in our community, Legislator Aldersley. I'm a member of the Board of Health. I'm a healthcare provider in the community. I recognize that it's important. I too am alarmed at the rate of infant mortality, especially in the city. I have several questions that I wrote down tonight, and I will be submitting them through you to the administration. It's something that is obviously complex. I have the article that was in the paper, and it documents well that everybody agrees, the experts agree that this is a complex matter. I'm interested also in getting answers to my questions as soon as possible. That notwithstanding, I would like the job to be done well. It is a complex issue, and I've had a lot of discussions with people in the community regarding this lately. So I will submit a number of questions to you as well, not just about the details of what's going on in this community, but what's going on in others, and why what we're doing with our tax dollars in this community is not working. And I am not adverse at all to reshuffling the entire deck about what we're doing in this community. If what we're not doing isn't working, then we shouldn't be doing it anymore. We really need to look at this as a community.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next time.
To address what has been discussed here, there are a lot of unanswered questions, which I would point out as part of this referral, and I believe our responsibility as members of the Human Services Committee was to convene hearings to get some further input from the community.
Andrews,
assuming the administration itself doesn't have all of the answers.
I'm going to ask you to put your questions in writing, and
that's
they
not
will be
a question.
referred with this along with other legislators' questions about this referral. Thank you. Next item.
Referral 12-297, amend
Moved by
resolution.
Legislator Quattro, second by Legislator Ansello. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Cayley?
We're on 297?
We are on 297.
Then respectfully through you to the administration, with this additional funding, is there an idea of how many additional family households this might affect? And respectfully through you, I would like to get a set of numbers for the last couple of years, actually, for 2009, 2010, and 2011 as to the number of families that we've assisted through HEAP. Thank you.
I apologize. Through the chair, it's Nancy Forge from the Department of Human Services. The state actually gives us lists of eligible households for this early outreach funding. Approximately 1,460 age 60 and over households were included. to be assisted this year, as well as 271 households with vulnerable individuals and the head of household under 60. Sure.
Any other discussion on this? Legislator Cayley, did you have your hand up again? No. Oh, okay. Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 12-298, acceptance.
Moved by Legislator Mitchell, second by Legislator Daniele. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 12-299.
Moved by Legislator Daniele, second by Legislator Michike. Is there any discussion on this? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Next item.
Referral 12-300.
Moved by Legislator Michike, second by Legislator Valerio. Is there any discussion on this? Legislator Andrews.
Thank you. And to the administration, could I just request in writing current STT statistics for infections in the county?
Thank you. Any?
Through the chair, Jess, we'd be happy to provide that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Noes, item carries. Next item.
Referral 12-308.
Moved by Legislator Valerio, second by Legislator Quattro. Is there any discussion on this one? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Item carries. Is there any unfinished business to come before this committee? Legislator Andrews.
Thank you. Yes, at last month's committee, I had questions regarding child care figures, as well as the request of the amount in the county budget spent on child care, and I submitted a letter before this committee asking for information regarding an audit that we believe is ongoing at food stamps, regarding food stamps, and I haven't received any responses to those requests.
Which question are you asking? Your first question?
3. Well, I have 3 information requests out there that are pending, so I'm asking for responses to all 3.
Your first question, let's...
Child care statistics. I had asked when the commissioner was here to receive the updated data for child care cases. It's usually like a chart with the 5 programs of child care that's been provided.
Madam Chair, I did submit a memorandum on September 8th or September 10th that addressed a variety of issues, including the daycare chart. It should have been attached to that. If you didn't receive it, I can provide it again. And the first item you mentioned, I believe, was an audit of food stamps. I don't recall ever receiving that letter. I'm not sure what the legislator is referring to.
Okay.
But I'd be happy if you could provide that to me.
I can certainly provide a letter. I believe it may have also gone to, I know it went to Commissioner Reed, and I don't have a copy of it in front of me to know who else was CC'd on it, requesting for this committee meeting conversation about an audit.
Legislator Andrews, if are you referring to this letter that you sent to our office, to me and my office on October 15th? Is that a letter that you're requesting information about?
It may be. As I stated, I don't have it in front of me. I just have the original issue.
And
my notes
then there
on
was a letter dated October 4th that was never delivered that I just received. So it was my understanding that the administration as well never received the copies of this. So if you'd like this to request to be answered, I think you should please direct the staff to deliver this letter to the office, and it'll be looked at the next committee cycle.
It was my understanding that it was you who wanted to receive the information about what we wanted to talk about at the committee, correct?
Yes, it is.
So
but
I sent that letter to you.
I did not receive this letter. I did not receive anything attached to this letter, to this request you had. I didn't.
I don't believe there was an attachment. It was just supposed to be the letter requesting that at this committee we discuss this issue.
It said that there was information and nothing was attached to it.
There was a letter.
So there was no letter attached to it. So.
Well,
I guess.
I'm being informed there was a letter attached.
Well, I'm told I received a letter with nothing attached to it. So there was another letter that came. So as long as the letter is resubmitted, it will be discussed. Yeah.
Okay.
We'll go through
At the next meeting.
Thank you very much. Yes. Any other discussion? Seeing none, then there are no further business. The October 22nd meeting of the Human Services Committee stands adjourned. The next meeting will be November 27th. At 6 p.m. Thank you.